Hello, hello. How is everyone doing on this, the 25th of December? Hope everyone is doing well. I'm doing pretty good. Thank you. I already have a like. That is, I think, yeah. Thank you for the like. I don't think that's ever happened before unless I liked it myself. I don't know if I can do that. So I don't expect a big audience because I know it's a holiday, but welcome if you join me. If you're watching this later, thank you for watching. Um, I want to thank everybody. I had a goal to reach 3,000 subscribers when I was on last, and we reached that goal. So I appreciate you all subscribing. Thank you so much. And you are appreciated. So, yeah. And as the caption states, there's a story all over the media, social media included, about a father out of Australia who relocated to India to be with his children, and he's stuck there. And I thought the story was particularly interesting because the U.S. has weighed in on the father being, I feel, being held hostage in Israel, because they do it here. When they hold passports, they hold these fathers or sometimes non-fathers, non-parents hostage in this country. So the fact that they even said anything is, I'm like, the nerve. You know what I mean? So I thought that was interesting. But before I even go there, I want to say this to anybody that's watching this video now or later. Uh, don't come to, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but apparently I do. Um, don't come to where you think I am or where I live looking for me, looking for help for your child support case, or anything like that. Uh, it's unacceptable, it's dangerous, it's scary to actually bring yourself to where you think I am or where I live, knock on the door and ask for my help. Like, I don't know you. Uh, that's not, there's several ways that you can reach me. I have it, my social media, my website, like it's everywhere. I'm not comfortable. I don't think anybody would be to have a stranger knock on their door and look for them or, ask for them. I've had in the past, I said this in another video, I've had not only death threats, I've had disgusting things mailed to my house. I've had my house shot up before. Uh, Nothing from the police. I haven't heard anything like a follow up from the police department here. And, you know, just different things going on as far as, so the public coming in or anybody just walking up and ringing the doorbell, that's involving my family. And my family doesn't have anything to do with what I do. So it's not cool to come to where you think I am or where I live looking for me. So with that out of the way, I'll get started. So again, there's the news story about the father who's originally from Australia. His ex-wife is a native in Israel. He moved to the country in 2012 after the divorce, so he could be closer with his children. The, the government is denying his request to leave based on future child support. So that's a little bit different than what we do here. And they weighed in, the U.S. weighed in, but we have the same thing here, which is the passport denial. So according to India.com, Huppert, and that's spelled Huppert, has been trapped in Israel since 2013. That's a long time. He's banned from leaving the country for almost the next 8,000 years. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me. 8,000 years after his Israeli wife filed for divorce from him. He's barred from leaving the country until, listen to this, December 31st in the year 9,999, effectively an 8,000 years prison sentence. That would be equivalent to him paying more than 3 million in US dollars in future child support payments. That's ridiculous. That's a lot of money to raise children by US standards and Israeli standards. Based on an article written by Ronnie Linder, and this was back in 2005 because I wanted to see how much it costs to raise a child over in Israel. And based on their standards, back in 2005, it will cost 750,000 Israeli new shekel, or $237,426 US dollars. For two children, it would be equal to $474,852. And that's hardly 3 million. However, according to this article, his quote, enraged, end quote, ex-wife filed a case in Israeli court which issued a state of exit order against him due to his future debt of 5,000 of shekels per month until both children turned 18, similar to what is done here. 5,000 shekels equals $1,582.81. So that's $37,988 for two children over a year, and $6,083,786 over 18 years, which is still way less than 3.34 million that he's being charged. Mr. Huppert is speaking out because he wants to bring awareness to Australian citizens who have, quote, been persecuted by the Israeli justice system only because they were married to Israeli women, and that he wanted to help other Australians who may suffer this literally life-threatening experience, end quote. The situation should sound familiar to American fathers, especially, we know mothers go through this too, but especially American fathers divorced and never married, because just like Israel, they can be held on a stay of exit order, but it's just called something different. It's the U.S. In the U.S., it's called the Passport Denial Program. The Office of Child Support explains that the Passport Denial Program helps child support agencies enforce repayment of debts, and this is according to the Office of Child Support Enforcement. Repayment of debts from non-custodial parents who owe or have owed at least $2,500 in past child support. A non-custodial parent whose support debt meets the criteria for certification receives a pre-offset notice that explains the process. States submit case information of non-custodial parents who meet the criteria for passport denial to Office of Child Support Enforcement. When the past due support exceeds $2,500, the OSCE will automatically forward the non-custodial's parent's name to the State Department for passport denial unless the state requested the OCSE, that's the child support agency, exclude the non-custodial parent from the passport denial program. The non-custodial parent is not removed from the passport program, denial program, even if the arrears fall below $2,500 until one of the following occurs. So don't, keep in mind, until they can't leave the country. While all of this is going on, once that $2,500 threshold is passed, they're stuck. So they can't go overseas to work They can't go overseas if somebody passes away in their family, anything like that. They're stuck here. Sounds familiar, right? So until one of the following occurs, the submitting state official state specifically requests removal, the non-custodial parent support debt amount is reduced to zero, or the case is deleted, essentially leaving the person stuck in the U.S., unable to travel outside of the country until the full debt is paid. That sounds eerily similar to Israel, but the threshold for holding a parent hostage is a lot lower. But if you're broke, 2,500 can seem like 2.5 million, especially if you need to get overseas to work. So the amount shouldn't even really matter because it depends on the situation. It still is holding somebody against their will in a country and making them pay to leave. What's really interesting about this story is that the U.S. offered its 2 cents about what is going on in Israel with Mr. Huppert. I found it amusing, hypocritical, and enraging at the same time. If the U.S. had nothing else, it definitely has the nerve, because they always will offer up their, what they feel they need to say, the U.S. government, when something else is going on. But on this one, they should have kept quiet. So based on that same article, the U.S. State Department has warned travelers of the potential issue and notifies its citizens that Israel travel advisory that civilian religious courts in Israel, quote, actively exercise their authority to bar certain individuals, including non-residents, from leaving the country until debts and other legal claims against them are resolved. The United States government not only revokes and denies passports for child support debt, prior to implementing this enforcement tactic, they use it to collect back taxes. So this enforcement technique is not new. It's just been added to child support. So if you owe back taxes, you can't leave either. So they use it on 2 levels. The IRS.gov states that if you are seriously delinquent on tax debt, the State Department generally will not issue a passport to you after receiving certification from the IRS. The State Department may deny your passport application or revoke your current passport. And if you're overseas, the State Department may issue you limited validity passport good for a direct return to the United States. So they'll get your ass back here, but you can't leave again. It's like holding you hostage because of a debt. They will issue while you're overseas just to bring you back home and lock you down. The threshold amount is different for taxes. Under Section 7345 B1, a quote, seriously delinquent tax debt is an unpaid, legally enforceable, and assessed federal tax liability of any individual, and is greater than $50,000. So that's a big jump from $2,500 for child support to $50,000 for taxes. But either way, your ass can't leave. So in that respect, we sound like Israel. At least the debt for dads or dads. I haven't heard. When I was researching this, I didn't hear it applied to mothers at all. The U.S. State Department goes on to say that, quote, U.S. citizens, including those without Israeli citizenship, should be aware that they may be subject to involuntary and prolonged stays and even imprisonment in Israel if a case is filed against them in a religious court, even if their marriage took place in the United States, and regardless of whether their spouse is present in Israel. What? This should come as no surprise to anyone because the U.S. uses the same draconian enforcement tactics here against civil debtors. They do it in child support court with civil orders, and they do it in civil court, whether it's for a traffic ticket. Now it's medical bills. So involuntary and prolonged stays in this country are common based on the Office of Child Support Enforcement. And beyond that, in different municipalities and different states, it's become common to lock somebody up for a traffic ticket and overcharge them. Let's take, for instance, a non-custodial a parent has been denied a passport and makes a complaint. Okay, this example is how long they can sit and delay a parent or hold them while they go through the process of clearing the passport once it's being revoked. And this is if there is no child support case. So if the passport applicant states they never had a child support case, or is unsure which state submitted the case, the applicant must contact the 4D agency in his or her state of residence. Now, if you don't have a child support case, why would you even have to go into some Title 4D agency? Why would you know where to start? That should be on the person that submitted, or the agency that submitted the denial, the revocation of your passport. But no, that's on the applicant. If the contacted state does not have a case for the applicant in the system, the state will contact the Federal Collections and Enforcement Unit. The OCSE will determine if the applicant has a case in another state and provide contact information for submitting state, or if no case exists, request the caller, the person that's passport has been denied, to fax the Department of State passport application denial letter along with their date of birth, place of birth, social security number, and a contact phone number to the Federal Collections and Enforcement Unit. Why would you have to do that and you didn't do anything wrong? Then the OCSE will inform the Department of State of the erroneous denial so that the Department of State can take appropriate action. Meanwhile, the applicant does not have a child support case. Without the passport, they're without their passport and being held involuntarily in the United States due to an erroneous denial for a fake child support debt. They don't even have a child support case. And we know how slow the government operates. So we know that process could take weeks, it could take months. Then you'll have to call and complain. But in the meantime, you're being involuntarily detained over a child support case or whatever. That doesn't exist. So here they are saying what Israel is doing wrong, and they sit here and do the same shit. The U.S. even warns that citizens might even face imprisonment in Israel, and we know that's where I was before. I'm sorry, I got off track. The U.S. even warns that citizens might face imprisonment in Israel, and we know that we are very familiar with locking someone up over civil child support cases. We know them as debtor prisons. But sadly and inevitably, the use of debtor prisons have moved out of family court and into other court systems. And we knew this was going to happen because after they got finished bleeding non-custodial parents dry of the money that they had, and we know the most child support debt is owed by the low-income parents that make low to no money. So after they got finished taking all of their money, that resource or that source of revenue was gone. So they just went over and started taxing the citizens. It's locking us up in debtor prisons. People that can't afford a ticket, can't afford a medical bill. And so they started doing that. But nobody said anything when it was fathers being locked up for non-payment of child support, because who cares? They're absent. You know, they put that stigma out there. So it was like, oh, they good, they deserve that. But now the ACLU and there's different organizations talking about, you know, citizens being locked up for other debts because they know that shit is wrong and it's illegal. So here's a couple examples of them using debtor prisons that are not child support related. According to Fines and Fees Justice Center, 2 women were jailed in St. Louis County municipalities. Meredith Walker, and they have a documentary about these 2 cases because they end up suing and winning the case. And that's in the description. All the stuff, when I say according to or whatever, I put the links in the description. Damn. Let me see. My husband's child support and she falsified documents a lot under oath. Why did they do that, Stephanie? Are you guys appealing that? John, that's horrible. I had somebody on Twitter today. Oh, she was real hot. Swearing up and down that men don't want to see their kids and they don't fight for shared parenting and all that good stuff. And you can't sit and debate people that think like that because it doesn't make any sense. It's like they know the thoughts of every parent everywhere, and and I was called, oh, what was I called? It was the first time I was called this. Let me look on Twitter because I retweeted it because it was cute. Let me see. I have to stop my presentation real quick because this was new. A father worshiper. She called me a father worshiper. I happen to believe that both parents are important to the child. So I don't worship anybody, but I support fathers just like I support mothers. But yeah, she was pissed because I said something about the father that paid his last payment with the pennies, and I put something about remember the friend reached out to me and said, yeah, and was explaining what the situation was and why he paid the last payment in pennies. And oh, she didn't like that. She's probably still on here. But yeah, she called me a father worshiper. But yeah, she is hot. Let me see. I would file a complaint against whoever increased his child support with the regional office, the regional child support office, and with the federal child support office. If he can't work and he provided proof, they should not have increased his child support, Stephanie. No, not at all. If you send me an email, if you hold on one sec, I'll put the links in the chat. Let me just give me 1 second and I will. I'm pretty sure I have them bookmarked. I'm sorry I stopped, but I'll finish with the debtor prisons as soon as I find these. Yeah, the regional office, before you do that, you have to file a complaint with the local agency. Stephanie, what state are you in? Oh, he did? Good. Okay, so I won't look that up. Okay, I won't look. If he filed them already, I won't look them up then. So good. They shouldn't have done that. So let the father worshiper continue. I can't fool with these people online. I swear they'll sit and argue and argue and argue. And at the end of the day, I'm like, we don't even know each other for real. When we get done, you're going to walk away and feel how you felt at the beginning. And I'm going to walk away and probably feel the way I feel at the end. But if we would have just went back and forth and maybe had an intelligent and an adult conversation, we might have been able to, share some ideas, and you might have been able to change my mind and vice versa. But if you coming in arguing and you mad because you didn't feel what I was saying, all I said is there's two sides to every story. And man, I'm a father worshiper. Hey, fathers. Let me get back to this. Um, where was I? Okay, so according to this is back to the debtor prisons out here in this was a few years ago. There's a documentary about this, the debtor prisons in St. Louis County municipalities. Meredith Walker, excuse me one second, guys. Meredith Walker was jailed more than 10 times and paid over $15,000 in fines and court costs, and was told that if she didn't pay, she would stay in jail. Does that sound familiar? It should. Child support. Samantha Jenkins was arrested almost 20 times and stayed in jail for nearly 70 days because of her being too poor to pay one traffic ticket. And she ended up being fined $1,800 and was coerced into a payment plan. When she couldn't make the payments due to her being unemployed, that happens, the judge issued a warrant for her arrest. And in a more recent case, and I saw this on Twitter, and I also put the link to this young lady, her organization in the description. Her mother, whose name is Katie Page, in Charleston, South Carolina, her daughter started a campaign to free her mother from debtor prisons. So according to the website, Ms. Page was being held in the Charleston County Detention Center for failure to pay a debt to an attorney of whom she was not a client and is not liable for legal fees. But they had her in a debtor prison. They had her there for months. All three women were eventually freed from bondage, but yet and still they were held involuntarily. So before the U.S. can go jump over there to Israel or jump somewhere else and say, oh, we can't get involved, do something over here. Do something. Stop locking people up for being poor. Like, that shit is illegal. I'm so sick and tired of us voting these people in over and over, and we argue over partisan politics, but we vote these people in and they don't do shit. They don't do anything. We could sit and petition and argue and all that kind of stuff, but this stuff is the law. What we're talking about, debtor prisons being outlawed, is the law of the land, and they still lock people up. People are supposed to be free to leave this country if they want to. If you owe money on a fake debt and they keep your passport, our politicians that we vote into office should say something about that. But no, we sit out here and argue and debate about what Republican or Democratic person implemented what law that started the child support system. I'm so sick of debating that or arguing about. I'm not discussing it anymore. It doesn't matter. Yeah, Clinton signed it, but the Republicans helped write that bill. So who cares? They were both in cahoots, and they're in cahoots now. So don't come at me talking about, well, Clinton signed, this is his bill. It's both of their bills. Now what? Debtor prisons are illegal and they're both letting the shit ride. Now what? I'm not wasting another second arguing about whose fault it is. I'm talking about 2021 going into 2022. What are we going to do about it? I just named 3 situations where people are being held in debtor prisons because they couldn't afford what they were charging. Because these people, these municipalities and these states get paid for locking people up. That's their bread and butter. Just like the child support system, the more debt that they charge people, the more money these states get. It's called incentive money. So who cares who signed what? What are we going to do about it? I'm not debating the shit no more. You want to debate me? Go read. I already talked about the shit. Yeah, I've been talking about it for years. I'm gonna refer you to my website. I'm gonna refer you to my Facebook page. I'm gonna refer you to Twitter. I'm gonna refer you somewhere. I already talked about probably any question you ask me. I already talked about it. I guarantee it. And don't show up at my fucking door. That don't show up at where you think I'm gonna be at. Don't show up. I can't guarantee what's gonna happen. Now, the State Department goes on to warn the U.S. Embassy that's unable to cancel the debt of the U.S. citizen or guarantee their departure from Israel when they face a bar from leaving the country until debts are resolved. We can't be surprised about that because the U.S. won't erase any debts. You gotta damn die. And then you better hope your kids don't have to inherit that debt. They are short of erasing two major debts that they need to erase to even give people a chance, a fresh start to, do anything, especially under this COVID pandemic, whether you believe in it or not. You cannot deny that people are struggling out here because of the reaction to it through the world. So people struggling. So there's two major debts, one being student loan debt. Now we remember candidate Joe Biden promised to cancel student loan debt, at least some of it. Most people remember that. That was good. Everybody cheered for it. President Joe Biden, according to NPR, began with improving, extending, and expanding a handful of programs that were already on the books. And although not forgiven, what they call a pandemic pause, ain't that some shit? They invent some words, has been granted yet again. Even though there's no interest or late fees, that is not debt cancellation. So I said this in my video about this Build Back Better bill, and people was pissed. Go back if you haven't watched that video about mentioning the Build Back Better bill. Go back and watch that because people was really at me about that. And one thing I have noticed is that people love to argue. And I say, well, did you watch the video? And they'll say yes, but they couldn't possibly have watched it because what they're talking about is something I did not even say. But I've noticed that I could say, the sky is blue. Somebody will come back to me and say, why do you have a problem with the sky being blue? I'm like, I didn't say that. I just said so. But this is again, he promised that he was going to raise student loan debt. And they said that he improved programs, but that shit was already there. How's that benefiting anybody? And that's the same thing with this Build Back Better bill. Build Back Better bill. The child care and the child tax credit, we already have those in place. So he can improve on those, but I just didn't see the point of giving more money in a bill. But that's another video. Go back and watch it if you want to. I just made it like this last week or sometime. I don't even remember. But I just made it. Whenever he voted no, I think I'm getting a little cold. Excuse me. But that's something, no, they're not going to force anybody in Israel. They're not going to protect their citizens on debt cancellation because they don't cancel debt in the United States. So if you're over there, you're going to be left high and dry. So another debt cancellation that'll really help people out over here is the government owed child support debt. I talk about it all the time. I started a petition about it. And really, the petition is just to bring light and put it in front of the politicians. Like, this needs to be done. This will give I don't know how many, but the debt now is $21.2 billion that non-custodial parents allegedly owe to the government. If they can get that off of their, back, a lot of relief can come to them. They can get a fresh start by canceling that debt. And we know that debt, just based on reports, that debt is mostly uncollectible. It's really a fake debt because it's to recover welfare expenditures. That's a grant that's already been paid by us as taxpayers. We already paid that. And the people that receive welfare worked for that. That's already paid for. So why are non-custodial parents paying for something that's already been paid for? There's another one. It's been paid for 3 times. Taxes, work, and it's a triple dip. I wrote about that. I can't think of the third, but they get paid 3 times off of the one welfare payment. So that's another, cancellation of debt that needs to happen in this country. If you want to add your signature to the petition, the link is, I think I put it in the description. If not, it's on my link tree, which is in the description for sure. And then please sign, share. That'd be great. Thank you in advance for your signature and for sharing. And thank you guys for the likes. I kind of got off topic on my notes, but I think I kind of veered back on track and then back off and then back on. So let me look at the comments real quick. Hi, Eric. Peace. Going back and forth with child support for the last 2 years. I found necessary objections. Yeah, they're going to kick that can. They don't like anybody coming in and telling them or calling them on their bullshit. Jurisdiction and all that. It's all, when you call them out, they don't like it. And if they claim that you have a debt, you want to make them validate that debt. You want to make them validate the debt. If they have arrears that they claim that you owe, you make sure that you get an itemized statement from the about the debt, line by line. I've been saying this for you forever. Make them prove not only that you owe that debt, but that every penny that they claim that you owe, you actually owe. A loved one is incarcerated. A lot of people probably seen my videos before, and so somebody that he was in prison with, I did a lot of advocating for people that he was doing time with, and so one person, we did a demanded an itemized list for him, and the difference or the reduction in the arrears was $35,000 in Ohio. And y'all know, if y'all, supported me for a while or rock with me for a while, y'all know Ohio's where my case is out of. Criminals, but they all criminals. That his arrears was off $35,000. When I asked on my case, I said, how is it that he owes 30-something thousand dollars to y'all. Let me see the bill. Because I know good and damn well I didn't get $30,000 worth of welfare from y'all. There's no way. When I asked for a bill, they couldn't produce it. Call them on it. You have a right to that. And I almost guarantee they are not going to go, or they're going to send you a bill with a final amount. They're not going to want to put it like a date. We charge you this here, we charge you that there. And they're not going to want to send you something with a validation of the debt. Like you signing and saying, oh, I agree, a contract, like a student loan. You know, I've had student loans. You sign for that. Kenya Rockman, am signing, agreeing that I'll repay the student loan. You'll be hard pressed to find a non-custodial parent, mother or father, that signed anything to say they'll repay welfare benefits. You're not going to find. Why would you? If anybody would repay welfare benefits, it'll be the recipient. But you don't do that. You can't do that because it's a grant. But I digress. Let's see. I wouldn't take that DNA test either. You don't gotta take that. So do they have a case against you, Eric? If you don't even have DNA, if they haven't gotten DNA from you, do they have a case? Or is there a case established? They can't have a case with no signature, no DNA. Oh, okay. Well, keep doing what you're doing. Okay, where was I? Okay, so now you can see why I said the nerve of the United States, even speaking on what's going on in Israel and how they're threatening the father or other foreigners when this country treats us the way that they treat us. The hypocrisy of it all, and in so many instances, they do it all the time. This is nothing new. As far as the father being held hostage in Israel, I hope that he is freed soon without having to pay millions or being held until the year 9,999. Just like I hope for fathers here in the United States and Europe and Australia. I mean, the child support hustle is global. Y'all know that. I hope that you guys are free from this draconian and illegal child support system. And I hope that enough of us stand up and start fighting back against the long ago outlawed debtor prison. It might not affect you right now. For the people that are not affected by debtor prisons and say, oh, you need to pay your bills. Yeah, you need to pay your bills. Y'all, everybody know those types. Now, it may not affect you right now, but one day it might. It might never affect you, but one day it might. Shit can change, especially financially, quicker than you can blink your eye. You can be up, with this and that, and oh, I'm rolling in the dough, and all that kind of stuff. Get sick. Get sick. That's the quickest way to bankruptcy, especially in the U.S. And your insurance cut you off, or they mysteriously at the last minute don't cover what you thought was covered, or you get something that you ain't. You'll change a whole bunch of shit when that money gone. There's two things for sure. It's expensive to be poor. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. And being poor should never be illegal. They like to say, oh, it depends, Kenneth, on where you are. I mean, you got to call different agencies to see how much they charge. And here's something, as far as signing the birth certificate, but signing the birth certificate really doesn't have anything to do with legal fatherhood. You could sign a birth certificate, and that just means that the child, it really doesn't mean anything. The child is a citizen. That's what the birth certificate establishes, is citizenship. And that was kind of shifted or changed back when all the child support and welfare reform, when they did all that, that's when the birth certificate really went out the window as far as establishing fatherhood. Now, I always get this wrong. It's either affidavit of paternity or acknowledgement of paternity. Let me look it up real quick. It's AOP. They didn't tell me nothing. Hold on one second. Acknowledgement of paternity. And that acknowledgement of paternity, that's where your legal fatherhood and all that kind of stuff comes in. That birth certificate, when you guys hit me up, or send me an email, or I see on social media a lot, I didn't sign the birth certificate, or I did sign the birth. That doesn't really matter. What matters is that acknowledgement of paternity, and if you sign that or not. And I'm here to tell you guys, while you're in that hospital, when she gives birth, that the hospital staff has been trained to get you to sign that acknowledgement of paternity. That way they can fast track the child support order, because that's already paternity established. They don't have to go through DNA. They don't have to serve you child support papers. They don't have to do any of that. And they actually call that the happy hour. So their mission is to get you to sign this acknowledgement of paternity. The birth certificate, they could care less. That's just proving that the baby is a citizen of the United States. So to answer your question, Kenneth, you'll have to look around, see, find somewhere the prices in your area. But the birth certificate, if you signed it, it's just going to say, that the baby is a citizen of the United States and was born in Louisiana, and maybe that you're the witness, but it doesn't establish fatherhood, legal fatherhood. Okay, guys, so that is my video for today. I thank you all for joining and watching. I appreciate it. And last week I had the goal of 3,000 subscribers, and we met that goal. So thank you very much. I'm transferring over, as I've talked about before, from just child support issues to talking about an array of topics, because I have a lot of stuff to say, and I'm like, power to the people. And so I want to talk about different things, such as debtor prisons, when it comes to us citizens, and when we don't have money. It's more of us than it is the elite. So It's time for us to, fight back. We got these people in office, like I was saying earlier. It's time to make them work. We shouldn't still be going through shit that we was going through 20 years ago. And a lot of this stuff we are. It's just repeat. Just like what I was talking about with Biden, and the student loan cancellation. He just put out what's already out there. This stuff is already there. What they say, improving, extending, and expanding a handful of programs that were already on the books. We don't need that. And I don't care who's in office. I don't subscribe to that. Right wing, left wing, same bird. My dad taught me that. I love you too, Kenneth. The Negro Network, do you have your noties on? Everybody turn your noties on right now. Don't forget to share my channel so we can talk about different things. I'm working on my new book. I'm going to be discussing really before the child support hustle. And so that's why I know the information I just gave you, Kenneth. So I'm gonna drop little pieces of information here and there when it comes up in my research. I appreciate you too, Eric. You keep fighting them. Don't surrender. I know they sure don't. They be trying to they be trying to shadow ban me. They've been doing a good job, but somehow I come through. And they should have, Eric, they should have stopped um, child support during the pandemic. And I'm going to tell you why. People don't agree with that. Like, well, kids still got to eat. Yes, and that's true. But during the pandemic, they offered benefits like they do all the time. You could go down to the state office and get food stamps. You could get um, cash assistance. You got the child tax credit. You got stimulus money. There was all kind of money out there during the pandemic. On the other hand, paying parents were out of a job for the most part because everything was shut down, and they still had to pay. Even the child support office was shut down. The courts were shut down. The only people that were still paying and expected to pay a debt were non-custodial parents. That's where that second-class citizen shit comes in. It's serious out here. That's what, man, get ready. I'm ready to fight. What about y'all? That's what I'm saying. Is child support is where it starts, because that's a big, it's a huge part of this of everything. It's just a part of everything. Like, it's so much money, and it just doesn't stop with child support. So many people think child support just take care of your kids. That's it. That's all. And no, it's not like that. It's such a big part of everything. And so because that has been allowed to go on for 30 years, they branched out. So now that system is allowing, or is permitting, other illegalities and constitutional violations to occur. They figure, well, we got away with it with child support, so we can get away with it with this. Perfect example, debtor prisons. And most people don't care till it happened to them. That's bullshit. Kenneth, how are you supposed to live off of that? And then they don't even make the other parent pay anything. Like the whole, don't even look. That's a whole different video. Oh, okay. I was about to say, I'll quit that job. I was about to say they would give my little pink slip or whatever color it is now. Like y'all can take that job and shove it. Well, I thank y'all very much for joining me. Don't forget, y'all can get the Child Support Hustle book by yours truly at my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. Um, this my book is describes like the basics, like the foundation of the child support system. When I first was fighting to close my case, there was nothing for me to like look at. There was no references. There was nothing. I had to go dig for information, and so that's how my book came about. So when you hear phrases like Title 4D and you know welfare recovery and stuff like that, this is going to tell you, you know, what's up and why they do what they do. And I always show like I had a lot of references in here, like there's a lot, and my court documents in here. So yeah, so it's chock full of information. I look forward to finishing up my new project. I hope that helps a lot of people too. I have a lot of blogs, a lot of articles on childsupporthustle.com. Hopefully those will help. Oh, okay, Kenneth. So yeah, I got a lot of information. I don't work on individual cases anymore. And again, I have to say, in case you missed it in the beginning, do not show up uninvited to where you think I live. That is dangerous and it is scary. Don't do that. I would never show up to somebody's house, crib, whatever you want to call it, uninvited. I don't know you. Um, Even if you do need help on your child support case, I have several ways that you can contact me. Don't show up where you think I live, where you think my address is. Don't do that. That's my family don't have anything to do with what I do, first of all. And you don't have that right to invade my privacy like that. Okay, I'm gonna post mine too. That's my email if anybody needs to get in touch with me. And here's my phone number, my work, my business number. Okay, don't show up at my address, my listed address. I'm not playing. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Enjoy y'all. What's today? Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of mine, and I will see y'all next time when I come on here. Go if you can, if you are on social media, which most people are. Come and follow me on Twitter. I'll follow you back. Instagram, unless you're private, I don't follow people back on Instagram if they're private. It's just too much work. Here goes my dad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Say hi, Dad.
Hi.
Shout out to Houston Methodist. My dad just got a kidney transplant last month, so October, and they did a wonderful job, and they're taking good care of him. So thank you so much, Houston Methodist. God bless you.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subscribing, and thanks for what else? I was about to say something I forgot. Appreciate you guys. Remember, they can ignore hundreds, they can ignore thousands, but they cannot ignore millions. Have a great evening. Let's go.